Congratulations, everybody. We gotta freak out about this Flash finale, so just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. There's a new round of the Flash Ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video, and this is going to be going on all summer. I'll be doing Flash bonus videos every week, so I'll explain that at the end of the video. There are so many big WTFs we have to talk about. I know everybody was like, wait a minute, did they kill the Black Flash? You can't kill the Black Flash, he's a cosmic entity. There's actually a pretty good explanation for every big twist. I wasn't scratching my head too much. It all made pretty good sense, and I was really surprised by Savitar's ultimate plan. But they did a little bit of Flash Rebirth, they wrapped up a little bit of Mark Waid's storylines that they were doing this season. There were a lot of different things that they were pulling from, so I'll try to point it all out as we go through top 10. But number 10, surprise, surprise, HR really did use the face-swapping device. This was probably one of the earliest theories that surfaced, and it was just the simplest way to explain how Candace Patton could stay on the show as Iris, and they could keep showing us this moment. But as confusing as the timeline is, what I think we're meant to take away is that we saw her die for real every single time until this most recent attempt where HR had a change of heart and swapped them out. So they provide that little backstory where they show them. But the fact that they did this at the beginning of the episode just let you know from the beginning they didn't want anybody to wonder what was happening to Iris. I don't think we ever really believed that they were going to get rid of her, so I think it's good that they didn't beat around the bush and they just blew right through this into the actual plot of the episode. Like, what are we going to do now that Savitar's trying to become a god using Plan B? So number 9, Savitar forces Cisco to help him modify the speed bazooka into a device that will scatter him across all of time and space as a thin crust pizza face. Best Cisco burn ever. So the real Easter egg here is actually for a Marvel character called Molecule Man. If you didn't read Secret Wars, he was a big character during that series. So Owen Reese, the Molecule Man, exists in every single multiverse simultaneously inside the Marvel comics. He's like one person with many different aspects scattered across all of reality. So that's basically what Savitar's trying to do, only across all of time, so that the blast wave of the paradox won't come wash him away. But if it wasn't clear, I don't think that this was his plan B. I think he always intended to do this. It's just that when he found out that Iris was still alive, it upped his timetable. Like, holy crap, the paradox wave is coming to wash me away. But number 8, Barry decides to do the thing that you would least expect. I like the way he sits in the time vault staring at the Reverse Flash's costume. I hated both of them. I have a feeling that hate's not going to get me across the finish line this time. So this was fairly predictable. They've been teasing that there was going to be some sort of crazy solution, and based on all the clips that they've been releasing, it just seemed like Barry was going to have to try and appeal to Savitar. But as we learned, it wasn't so simple, so I feel like they actually made everybody happy with the way they resolved things. Because like Captain Cold said, Barry got to be the hero the whole time because he actually tried to cross the aisle and help Savitar out before Savitar tried to stab him in the back, and it wound up being a more traditional ending. Villain meeting his end, but not in the way you'd expect. But number 7, it was actually really nice seeing him inside Star Labs remembering everything, and even though he was putting on an act, it was actually a pretty good act. Like, you believe him when Iris touches his face, and we find out that wasn't a deleted scene. We actually saw that weeks ago. You all probably noticed when Savitar said, oh, I remember this. This is where we created the neural inhibitor to fight DeVoe. And Barry's like, what are you talking about? Who's the thinker? And he's like, oh, you haven't gotten there yet. Probably the biggest teaser that they dropped for season 4. I'll actually do a separate video about that in another day or two, just talking about it, because they've been very clear that DeVoe is coming on the show on the level of Zoom, Reverse Flash, and now Savitar. He'll be one of his greatest villains, and his powers involve a lot of mind control abilities, so it'll be fun to see how that plays out. But number 6, Admiral Akbar, it's a trap. Savitar sets off the Philosopher's Stone in this giant Speed Force explosion. I was expecting a few more lasting consequences, like Savitar is messing with a concentrated piece of calcified Speed Force, so I figured he was either going to try and poison the Speed Force or cut Barry off from it, or something really terrible on par with the Speed Force storm at the end of the episode would happen. But it seems like the TV show was really only using it as a Speed Force dirty bomb to just blow up everybody. There wasn't any grand plan beyond that. And I'll talk about Speed Force science at the end of the video too, because there's a lot of big questions based on the way they ended the episode. Number 5, the Gypsy save. So glad she came back. She vibes Cisco from across the multiverse because they're connected, as she says. They have a lot of funny dialogue. I love their scenes together. Jessica Camacho, the actress that plays her, is great. I hope she always comes back on The Flash, but I don't think that she's going to be a series regular next year just because it'd be a duplication of powers. So number 4, this is so much fun. Savitar and Caitlin destroy the Black Flash as they prepare to scatter Savitar across time-space. So for those of you that are wondering, you're like, wait a minute, hey, they can't destroy the Black Flash. This is such a big deal. You have to have a Black Flash. And yes, you do have to have a Black Flash. When she says goodbye Hunter, as in goodbye Hunter Zolomon, remember that Zoom became the Black Flash. So what they're saying is that he's dead, but that just means that someone else is going to have to take his place. So we'll meet a new Black Flash sometime during season 4. Now the big question is, who will it be? Barry Allen was the Black Flash for a very brief period, thanks to the efforts of Eobard Thawne. We haven't seen the Reverse Flash come back yet. He could always show up as the Black Flash briefly, but he's such an important character that I don't think that they would do that to him for too long. Like, you want to have the Reverse Flash do Reverse Flash things, and once you become the Black Flash, you're more like a Speed Force dog that just chases down aberrations. But either way, yes, the Black Flash is gone, he will come back, but it'll be a different speedster that's taken up the mantle. So Caitlin starts scattering Savitar across the Speed Force, and number 3, out pops Jay Garrick. Surprise, bitches! Cisco messed with a gun, and it unlocked the Speed Force prison, so Jay Garrick was able to run out. I've been waiting to do that. Such a great twist. I was just waiting for him to come back. He always gets to come back with really badass saves like that. But then it becomes this big battle royale, Team Flash versus Team Zoom. Cisco saves Caitlin, and she helps save him from Savitar. So eventually, the big twist, though, is that Iris is the one to finally defeat Savitar, but not before a whole bunch of fancy footwork with Grant Gustin in that suit. So I know everybody's like, why did he destroy Savitar's suit? First of all, it was just badass watching him phase into that and seeing the suit turn red and crackling with Speed Force energy. But like Savitar said, you kill me, you become me. So obviously the Flash always stays a hero, like Captain Cold said, so he vibrates the suit apart and that's the end of it. But the big change from the comics is that the Future Flash and Savitar, which are two different characters, they kind of combined them into one for the TV show. The Mark Waid Savitar storyline, it's called Dead Heat. He actually wanted to become one with the Speed Force, which is kind of like what Savitar's plan is, like become this all-powerful god. So at the time, Wally West was the only version of the Flash. Barry Allen had still been dead in the comics for a while. He just runs Savitar into the Speed Force because he can't get into it by himself, and he gets trapped there, later shows up during the first Flash rebirth, which was the formal return of Barry Allen. Like, you see him exit the Speed Force, I'm free in this panel, and then he just disintegrates into nothingness almost immediately. It was a really funny comeback for the character. But in the comics, the Future Flash has a more heroic ending. He actually tries to help out a little bit. He's like a less crazy version of Future Barry, but he ends up getting vaporized too. So it was sort of an amalgam of the Savitar ending and the Future Flash ending in the comics, with a slightly more villainous ending. Savitar was a real villain in the comics. The Future Flash was only a villain for a little while until he came around and was trying to help things. But number 2, they bury HR. I know everybody was questioning me all the back half of the season about this special funeral scene. Who is that in the casket? We're all wondering. So now we learn that it's HR, making that season 4 synopsis that they released somewhat of a lie. They actually named HR as part of the cast for season 4. So now I don't think that Tom Cavanaugh is leaving the show. So what'll probably happen now is when they come back, it'll be Earth 2 Harrison Wells, and then they'll decide whether or not they're going to keep him around or it'll be a different version of Harrison Wells. But Tom Cavanaugh is still a series regular as far as we know. So regardless of which version of him it's going to be, he's not going anywhere. I like that John Lennon quote. And if you're wondering about the Caitlin ending too, she's still a series regular. Danielle Panabaker isn't going anywhere, but she's just saying that she's not going to come rejoin Team Flash. I need to find out what's going on my own. So what'll probably happen is that she'll still get to be a little bit bad, but she won't be full-blown evil. So she'll still have her powers, but this is what her eyes will look like. She won't wear special contacts anymore. She actually said that they're really hard to see in when they're filming scenes. So this is a bit of a compromise for the character, and when you see her Hulk out, her eyes will probably go blue again, so that can be like a fun way for them to show her reacting to stuff, like, oh crap, she's getting ready to go off like an ice bomb. But a lot of the scenes that she's going to have next season have a lot to do with who I think the villains are going to be, and that's largely rogue base until DeVoe surfaces and becomes sort of the overarching villain. So think about how Captain Cold is a villain, but he also helps Barry out every once in a while. That'll probably be how Caitlin's character works, where she'll still be kind of bad trying to figure things out, but she'll still come back and help out the people at Star Labs every once in a while. So of course, number one, big ending, Barry enters the Speed Force. What does this mean? Oh my god, they're doing the Speed Force storm from Flash Rebirth. Does this mean there's going to be more new metas? So there's a bunch of things to explain if you haven't read the comics. 1. Flash Rebirth in the Speed Force storm. If you haven't read the Godspeed arc from the Flash comics, that happened last summer. What happened is there was just a freak Speed Force storm that created a bunch of new speedsters. Barry Allen has to learn to train them. One of them wound up being super evil and became the Godspeed character. So because they said that there's not going to be another big bad speedster next season, I don't think that they're going to do that part of it, but they always do this thing on The Flash, where the big disaster of the finale surfaces all the villains of the next season. So end of season 1, we got the big wormhole in the sky. That's where the breaches came from, all the villains from Earth 2. The season 3 twist was Flashpoint. You got all the Flashpoint husks. Now we have giant Speed Force storm, probably going to create a bunch of new metas for next season, and that'll be part of the conflict, especially in the first episode where we'll probably get Barry back, but we'll get this backstory over the course of the 3 months of the break where we see what Wally did trying to be the main Flash while Barry wasn't around. Don't worry, the city will still have a Flash, and now we have a Speed Force scientist, so how do we get Barry back from the Speed Force? There's so many ways to do it, but you need to study the Speed Force to understand how it works, and that's what Tracy Brand's character is all about. So in this moment where they're like, oh my god, you have to go into the prison, none of them really understand the mechanics of how that worked because the prison itself wasn't created till very far in the future, so they don't know what's going on yet, but we'll probably start pushing into the mythology of the Speed Force even deeper in the science of it in Season 4. So my next Flash video will be my Season 4 predictions. That'll post at least by Thursday, but I'll do like a teaser video where Savitar's talking about DeVoe. Oh, you haven't got there yet. But like I said, I'm going to be doing bonus videos for The Flash as well as the comics all summer long. It'll be at least like 2 videos a week, so just let me know what you want those to be about. Leave all your requests. There'll still be Flash Ring giveaways in all of them, so I'll say congratulations to the latest winner, White Canary. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. While you wait for everything, you can click here for all my Flash videos, and you can click here for a brand new Game of Thrones promo. Thank you so much for watching. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.